Hi Atul. May I know something about yourself, like how your tech stack and all the basic knowledge of programming?
Yeah, I have been working in IT for past 20 years and mostly on Microsoft platform. And 2001 to 2009, I was working on FileNet, and at the time FileNet Capture and FileNet version 4.0. So I used to install that FileNet Capture and and other softwares on and also used to do programming there at the time. And then I moved to some other like C# and others. So now I'm going back to file and capture, means sorry, that the scanning portion of it. So I thought this is the right time to refresh my knowledge so I can start working on it again.
Okay, good to know. So why did I ask that question? Just because to understand how about your knowledge on the programming side, and because this IBM product will built on top of .NET framework. So I think you had a good knowledge on the C# as well. So you can easily learn this.
That's good to know.
Yeah. The product called IBM Datacap, which means data capturing solution. So it is a capturing solution where it will capture the electronic documents data, which is OCR, and as well as ICR, which is handwritten text from the any kind of documents. So where the business exactly using this product, like banking service, transport, and anywhere the documents, the invoices they're going to claim. So they can use this product to process their invoices where auto capture will happen. And we have a defined structure of scanning process and to verify the data by the user. And finally, we are going to store in the FileNet repository, which is a product of IBM again. And in our course, we are going to cover this is a agenda of the course, like Datacap Overview, where we can see what about the Datacap and the distributor component setup and all those stuff, and the three process of phases in document capturing. So the process of capturing has certain steps. The main is scanning, identification, and submitting. So those things we can able to see. And the Datacap components, we have multiple data components in the Datacap, like Datacap rule runner service, Windows service, uh, FastDoc service, fingerprint service. So all these are the distributed component of the Datacap. So using all these components, we can able to do multiple applications respect to the business. And Datacap application development, yes, we have a designed structure of Datacap, which is called Datacap Studio, where we can develop our applications using the defined libraries of C#. And also we can able to customize the solution based on the client requirements. So which means we can add on our own libraries. We can build the DLLs and we can place into the respective root folders. So the data system can able to identify, and we can use the custom defined functions or methods in our workflow, which is called rule set workflows. And coming to the next one, Datacap TM Web. So this is nothing but the user interface, which is a web server where the user can able to access from their browsers using the LDAP authentications. Yeah, that is one of the web where we can use. And similarly, we have another web called Datacap Navigator, which is IBM Content Navigator. This is also another kind of web interface where the user can able to access. So we have two layers of web interfaces. One is defined in .NET. So the TM Web doesn't have any other Java plugins or any fusibility, where it will only accept the .NET APIs. Using the WTM API servers, we can able to use the TM Web, which is the .NET interface. And similarly, we have, as I said, is a IBM Datacap Content Navigator, which is a hybrid technology which was built on Dojo scripts. So this navigator is able to accept either the APIs, which is Datacap plugin is there. One Datacap plugin is there, the way the IBM provides. Similarly, FileNet side, we have multiple plugins. Both can able to integrate with this navigator. So any reflection change, any change will happen from the user interface. It automatically reflects in the both ways, where the Datacap side and the FileNet side. So that is hybrid UI. So I think you already have some basic knowledge about this Datacap components and all this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I'm getting it now.
Good. So if you have any questions so far,
No questions.
okay, fine. Then moving on to next one. Yeah, who should learn this course? Definitely, IBM Datacap consultants where they can improve their knowledge, and domain of experienced professionals where they can expertise in their own domains, graduates and postgraduates, anyone, and reporting analysis from any technology because we have a defined reporting services as well. For example, imagine one company called AP Logistics from Singapore, where there is a worldwide logistics they have. So they can transport, they can provide a service to the multiple suppliers, to the multiple companies like a vendors. They can act as a medium in between these two parties. So for every transaction, they can raise one invoice and they can claim against their transport. So for them, they need some reporting service to understand per monthly how many statistics are going on. So they can able to see our reporting analysis and they can able to store their invoices, copies and all. And similarly, any support staff working on Datacap applications. And what is IBM Datacap? So exactly what is IBM Datacap? IBM Datacap nothing but IBM data capturing, which helps to you to streamline the capturing process, recognition, and classification of business documents and extract important information. So imagine you went to a bank for opening account opening form or any check processing form. So usually per day there are so many people will go into the bank for their own purpose. So how come all this data will entering into the system? So using one of the application called our Datacap application, where they can scan and drop their files, or they can upload their files into our application. Our system can able to recognize any kind of format, and it will able to extract the OCR data from the image using the OCR engines and ICR engines. They can able to extract the handwritten text from those electronic documents. All this data we need to, while developing itself, we have to train the system where the positions over the image need to extract. For example, the name of the applicant and at postal address of the applicant and nominee details and all those we can able to draw the zones with using one of the technological fingerprint service technology. And we can save hold all the properties of the zone values with respect to sample invoices. When deploying to the production, while they're processing their electronic documents, using our holding data, which is the positions over the values from the images, ongoing invoices can able to map against the existing properties of the zones and able to extract those values. So all this happening in between the scanning step and indexing step. So once everything is done, and in the same way we are going to implement our business conditions, which means their actual business, adding the values, subtracting the values, any KYC validations are required against of the applicant document to their PAN card, Aadhaar card with our MDM master databases, and everything will be looping here. And once everything is done, we are rolling up all the extracted data into the respective fields, which is our property values in the indexing screen, and they can able to verify. We are showcasing them to verify and validation. Once it is done, once they are okay, they can submit. So whatever the action they are going to take, it's the own decision at the verified screen, which is our indexing screen. Then it will go to the further step, which is export. So export is nothing but while confirmed by them from the indexing screen, we are ready to export the data, which is the metadata from the document and going to store in the file net. So yes, as you are aware, we need to define the properties in the FileNet, then mapping those values into the FileNet properties, and from FileNet they can able to see the what are the process invoices from image in one side, all the properties in the right hand side. We have the panels and widgets, so they can able to see from the FileNet server. We have specific, we have specialized UI for FileNet viewing. And the Datacap supports multiple channel capture by processing paper documents like scanners. Yes, Datacap has a feasibility where it will accept the inbound emails, email wise or uploading the invoices and multi-function peripheral interfaces. So anyway, they can able to drop their invoices using the mail or scanner or direct upload. And it uses natural language processing. This is the latest one, which is NLP processing. So IBM Analytics, artificial intelligence, where it will help us to automate the extracting process. So using TAM files creation. Have you ever heard about the TAM files? Content classification or content IBM content NLP processing. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever heard about the NLP processing?
Yeah. Means that's means I was looking at there's some AI concepts there. It
Yes.
came. Yeah.
Okay. I will just give you some brief introduction about the NLP. As I mentioned, we have different techniques where to implement the auto recognition process, right? Which is a fingerprint service. I said one of the technique. Similarly, we have keyword-based identification technique. We have manual identification technique. So all is an identification technique where to identify the unknown images, which is unknown image of invoices. So to keep on coming the new variants, we need to redevelop, right? So it again a challenge. Using this NLP processing, IBM content classification, where it will help us to automate this process using the predefined TAM files. So what exactly these TAM files? These TAM files has the respective keywords and logics. Okay, the IBM did some survey against all the multiple variants of banking invoices and logistic invoice and all those stuff. They analyze and implement some logics. For example, if you use a keyword based identification technique in a paper invoice, there is a value we need to identify called address, postal address. We have a keyword they can, while using to identify this postal address values, they can utilize one keyword called postal address colon. It's a keyword in the document. They can verify all the around 2 to 3,000 invoices, and they figure out multiple keywords, unique keywords like postal, postal address combination, address, postal ADD, postal address without space, postal address with space, postal address space colon, postal address space semicolon. So all this combination they gathered and they implemented certain logics where the all these keywords wherever it find go to the next line, go to the next word, go to the last word. So using this all the defined logics they implemented and encrypted some TAM files, which is some predefined files called TAM files. So TAM files already has all these logics. Using these TAM files, we can easily automate the unknown images as well. While developing, we know only sample images. While going to the rollout to production only, we can see unknown images. So those things are also able to identify using the NLP process. So this is the how IBM implemented using the TAM files. Okay, any questions?
That's interesting because I was thinking that natural language processing is one of the AI concept, and also it is useful when you have a chatbot, or when you speak on a phone, and then based on your it accepts some information and asks for your input, and based on the input it asks you more and more questions.
Yes.
And it has to recognize what you're saying, because same sentence can be said in many different tones.
Yes.
So yeah, it will be interesting to see that.
Yeah, similar kind for Datacap, whatever the Datacap usually do, it is able to automate using the NLP process. So IBM provide some different kind of tool for us to implement certain logics using the stamp files. So those will be implemented and stored in our Datacap solution, which help us to integrate with our workflows while designing, like our scanning process to the export until export. In between, we are going to use those custom defined TAM files functionalities, and we can able to utilize the NLP library functions. We can see all those.
Okay.
And yes, test analytics and machine learning technology. So all this comes under our AI, which is NLP processing techniques to automate, identify, classification, and extraction content from unstructured, unknown, undefined documents or variable documents. And the software can reduce the labor work, and definitely any software can reduce the labor work, and this will reduce the manual effect and paper cost, deliveries, and my meaningful information support faster design making. As I mentioned, there are the three phases of processing, right? First is the input phase, which is our Datacap has to accept the input files either from scanning from the devices or uploading from the inbound emails. So, anyways, and it will store finally into our data. I mean the depositories, which is our filenet. And process phase has the process of according to the rules and procedures. Yeah, as I mentioned, based on the predefined rules and predefined procedures of the business logics, it will able to process the documents. And output phase. So produce display on the screen, which means after extracting the data, once we are good based on our existing predefined business logics, we are rolling up into the respective fields to the verify screen where we need user confirmation and printed on the printer, so we can able to export in a printer wise or save on the database storage. Anything we can do from output to input to output. Yes, as I mentioned, we have multi components in Datacap. The first one is Datacap server. Okay, what is a Datacap server? So to operate the Datacap components, to operate the Datacap applications, we have one of the component called Datacap server, which has start and stop buttons. So once we start the server, then only it will communicate along with all the components in between within standalone server or as distributed servers, anything. So it will able to operate in, it will able to coordinate all the components. So definitely components means for each component, it will perform something throughout the application. So every component is a matters to us while processing the application. So that server we're able to coordinate with all the multiple components in between the standalone server or distributed server. And Datacap clients. What is the Datacap client? Any idea? We already discussed so far a few things, right? Maybe we can. Can you tell me any idea about the Datacap clients? So what is a client?
Is a capturing scanning station?
Okay, a kind of. So as we discussed so far, TM web, I can say, where the user interface is required. Client, it's a client. It's not a development studio. The Datacap studio, which is called development studio, it's a backend server side where we can do. But client components are like TM web server, TM web, where a user interface, web interface is required, where a user able to access. And Navigate is one of the Datacap client. And also
Yeah,
we have
yeah.
we have a Windows application where Windows in level of interface, which is called Datacap desktop application. So we have three client components: Datacap TM web server, Datacap Navigator server, and Datacap desktop as well. So we are while installing the Datacap application in the user system, we can provide an desktop application which is called Datacap desktop, where they can able to log in, they can able to see the data. So here we have three layers of client interfaces.
Mhm.
And Datacap maintenance manager, yeah, which is called Nano manager. It will help us to maintain the housekeeping activities, yeah, aborting the batches. We are rolling back in the on daily basis. We are able to assign to our Windows task scheduler the particular task need to perform on daily basis. So using the Nano manager, we can do. What do you know about the housekeeping activities? Yeah, it's a generic one where you can see in all the applications. Okay, I can say.
Does it take care of like if there are exceptions, like if a Datacap or server is running or Datacap rule runner is running and it finds some exceptions and it might have to a person has to look at it and make some decision on it.
Perfect, perfect. Yes. So one of the example to maintain the Datacap ruler service, in between maybe ruler will stop because of any network glitch. Ruler will hide the threads going to hung state. So all this stuff are comes on a maintenance manager. So using this maintenance manager, I am keep on monitoring such a status of the ruler, whether the ruler is behaving good, any issues are there, or else any network glitch is happening, anywhere the threads are being hung state, any applications are being corrupted, or on daily basis I need to restart the ruler service. On daily basis I need to purge some of the data. For example, there are on daily basis there are 10,000 batches are going to process. So if I store all the data, it will be a headache for us. So we definitely tell to our clients, after 30 days or 45 days we are going to purge the data, the past data. So using this all this stuff, we can able to build our records into the task scheduler, and we can able to using this maintenance manager, we can able to trigger all the records. So that will help us a lot. to maintain the application. And the rule and the service. Yes, as you know, rule and service has the multiple threads where you can assign each thread to the respective task in our application. It will able to perform. And the Datacap web server. This is nothing but our team web server and Navigator server. So to integrate between the studio to the web interfaces, using this web server, using the APIs or Datacap plugins, we can able to integrate. And the web service, again, using this web server and web service, Windows service and web service, we can able to do all this stuff. So all the last three are the configuration part from the Datacap application studios to the web interface, either the TM web or Navigator or desktop component. So Datacap application development. The first step in developing any Datacap application is to define the business requirements. Definitely, we need to know the business requirements. What are the electronic invoices they are going to perform? For example, imagine go to the Kotak Mahindra Bank. They ask you to develop an application where your application has to accept their banking invoices like account opening forms, insurance forms, KYC validation forms like Aadhaar card, PAN card, and any other checks. So you need to know, right? How many pages are there in the account opening form? The first page would be the main page where the basic information is required. All the other pages are not required. Maybe the second page is required. Maybe seventh page is required. So they will tell you. So you can define the DCO Datacap objects in the Datacap studio. I will show you all those. We can see in the studio. So you have to define the DCO structure. How many main pages, how many trailing pages, how many supported documents, what about the KYC values like PAN card, Aadhaar card, how many pages. So all these you need to define. So and also business requirements like from the invoices, what are the values you're going to capture. Then only you can need to know, then only you can able to build the application to auto capture the values. And the Datacap Studio is the Datacap application development environment that provides the tools you need to develop. So yes, as I mentioned, Studio is the place where we can develop the logics. We can develop the application like our Visual Studio Eclipse. So similarly, we have here Datacap Studio. And document hierarchy defines the structure. Yes, as I mentioned, DCO document objects hierarchy that define the structure of the document that you are going to process based on the business. And during the data capture process, document go through the workflow. Yes, again, as I mentioned, after define the DCO, we need to define the workflow which has what should be processed first, what should be do next among all the process invoices. So it consists of several tasks, several steps, including page identification, recognition, validation, verification, and finally export. All these are the steps. And some tasks require operator intervention, which means yes, we once the user drop their inbound emails or inbound invoices into our data cap, we are ready to process based on the defined logics. And once we are ready, we are rolling up the extracted metadata values to the fields, and we need some confirmation from them whether it's fine or not at the verify screen or indexing screen, anything. So there we have certain validation we're going to implement it. So this step is called verify step where user intervention is required. Similarly, we have another step called flex ID screen where if any pages are not identified, we are not sure, right? They provide some sample invoices, we are developed, and once the proper invoice will come, it will identify. Otherwise, it won't identify. And at that step, we have a certain user intervention step called Flex ID, where we are providing the scanned invoices to the user. We're asking them to identify because we never know, system never know. Once they identify, again using the existing logics, it will process. So that is a operator intervention steps. Yes, for example, these are the reference like the sample invoices. Okay. And yes, document capture process, as I mentioned, we have certain process steps: scanning process, recognition process, and verify step where the user intervention is required, and finally export. So yes, this is here is you can see the entire whatever we discussed so far. You can see the single workflow diagram as we discuss scanning. The input might have different ways. One is scanning wise, fax, email, any uploading documents. And once input will happen, Datacap will process those input documents using the existing logics at the rules processing. So in the rules processing, what are the respective things we are going to do? Image cleanup. Yes, maybe there is some noise over the image. Some in some images you can see they captured in the landscape or portrait or any conference is low, noise over the image. We can able to do all the image enhancements here before the process. The first step we need to do. And the document identification or classification, which is we need to define the document, the unknown documents, and locate the fields or data. Yes, again. So after identify the documents, we need to define the fields. What defining the fields? Nothing but what are the values are we are going to capture and we are going to showcase to them. So those are the field values. We need to define the respective fields. And again, recognition. Once the defining fields, now we need the metadata and place it over the respective fields. So those things will happen in under the recognition and apply the business rules again. After we got all the metadata values, we need to apply the business logics, adding the total amount or removing uh, any shipping address, so shipping values, all those stuff. And these are comes under classification or recognition. And finally, the verify step. Once we are ready with data, we are showcasing at the verify screen. So validation, if all the validation will pass, it will go to the export part and repository and or any other third party integration. Maybe there is a tool called RPA. RPA will take an input file from our export metadata file, XMLs. Anything we can able to export like JSON export or XML export. So from there, this is the third party line of integrations in other applications. And if anything will fail, yes, we can able to route to the next level of check, which is supervisor reviews or any email triggering with respect to the batch details. Anything we can do. This all comes under business requirement again. Yeah, Datacap Web. I mentioned, we have web clients. So this will help us to interact with the users from the any browsers. So using their LDAP authentication login, they can able to log in and they can able to see their process documents using the batch wise. So Datacap will process a document. Each input will consider as a batch here. One batch might have multiple invoices, but it's a single transaction. So one single transaction called as a batch in Datacap system. All the batches can able to monitor by the Datacap web clients. The steps that you follow to install and configure the Datacap web clients include ensuring that required IAS components is, as you might aware. So this Datacap web application, which is having the APIs, we can able to hosting into our IAS. Then we can able to get the web localhost URLs, or else we can provide our own domains, so they can able to use using this web clients. We can see all those stuff as well. And finally, one more UI I said, Navigator. Datacap Navigator is one of the web client where IBM Content Navigator, yes, this is a hybrid one where it will accept the Datacap plugins and as well FileNet plugins. Its UI is different, but functionality is same. Where you can see whatever there in the TM web, you can see the same in the Navigator as well. Yes, again, we can customize the Datacap Navigator desktop using our Dojo scripts and Java code. And similarly, we can customize our own DLLs in the Datacap Studio as well, using our .NET C# library. So IBM defined their own library, which is the Datacap library. We need to invoke into our Visual Studio so that we can create multiple new product applications on top of it. So as I mentioned, there is one server called Datacap Server Manager. So we have start button side. Once I start this server only, we can able to use our Datacap components, any component. So I'm going to start the server first. Let me quickly start the Datacap Studio. So all these are the predefined applications, and I designed some of the some applications for my own. So all is the sample application and predefined application. So I'm going to use the predefined one, which is the APT application. APT is nothing but account payable tax application. So as I mentioned, we already discussed how the Datacap Studio and how we are going to develop. The first one I said Datacap Objects Hierarchy, DCO hierarchy. So I asked the business whatever the documents would be in their invoices. They said some of them should be main page. Where imagine the business is like our Kotak Mahindra Bank. They said there is a account opening form which the first page is the main page where the only data we need to see. The other pages are trailing pages. No need to capture nothing. So once the scanning done, I need to figure out what is the first page, what are the main values. So I need to figure out the first page and that page should be assigned under the main page because this main page already has a predefined fields. These all these fields who will give business will give. So while developing itself, I declare one main page and I declare some of the fields. Once the ongoing invoice will come, the first page will identify and this is the first page, go to the main page. And by declaring that first page as the main page itself, it automatically creates the DCO structure, which is creating all the fields without values because we didn't go to the next step so far. So then next step will identify the metadata, capture and assign those values to the respective fields here. Then all the other pages I said go to the filing page which does not have any field. If in case business asks, yes, you are going to assign trailing fields, that is okay. But in the trailing pages also we need some of the fields, important fields. Then again I need to define the fields here. So I need to unlock and I am going to declare. Maybe they will come 3 fields. Imagine. So I will give the count and 3 fields will create it for me, and I need to rename anyway. So I will rename this one. Yeah. Based on their field name, whatever they're going to provide. So yeah, this is how we need to define the structure. This was the main page, trailing page, attachment pages like our PAN card or Aadhaar card which comes to in this document. Okay. So all this will comes under the invoice page, invoice document. Similarly, if a business has multiple documents like account opening form document and insurance documents. So first I need to differentiate the multiple line of business. Then each line of business I need to the next step is defining the pages. The next step is defining the fields. The next step is defining the subfields as well, which is our grid values. In some invoices, you can see grid line items, some tabular columns, tabular values. So those will come under the grid line at the subfields. Those are which are comes under details. So yeah, line item 1, line item 2, item, description, quantity, price. If you go to the supermarket, you can see multiple grid line items. So and that kind of business we need to define like this. So we need to define the DCO. So what is Datacap DCO? The hierarchy. The first is a batch. The batch has documents. The document has pages. The pages has fields. The field has subfields in the grid line item. This is the DCO structure. Then after this middle pane is called rule set pane, where we are going to define the workflow using this rule sets. What is exactly the rule set? If you see the vScan rule set, while scanning, what should we do? Everything we need to declare in this rule set. So while scanning, there is only one step which is called, this is a rule set. vScan rule set has vScan rule. vScan rule has vScan functions. vScan function has certain actions. All these are the predefined actions. We have from the action library, we can see all these are the predefined Datacap actions. The barcode actions. Using the barcode, we can able to identify application objects, actions, and validation actions. There are so many actions out there. So we need to drag and drop. That's it. We have all the predefined actions. If you want, if business asks you any new functionality where it does not has into the Datacap, you can develop using our Visual Studio. You can own DLL. You can place it in one of the Datacap or predefined folder. Then you can be able to see all those user-defined actions here. So if you see, there are two differentiate panes here. One is global actions, application specific action, nothing but our user-defined actions. These all are the predefined actions. Sorry, user-defined actions. And under global actions are predefined actions. You can use either thing, either of these functions from these actions. You can simply using these arrows, you can assign and remove under this rule set. So based on the rule set, define the first step, set source directory. This is one of the action. First, we need to we need to check the root directory, whatever the path they have provided. Then set maximum image files. What are the maximum images? 50 images I'm going to keep. For single batch, the maximum should be 50 scanned images and multi-tick. So one of the process, multi-page tick. So image might have multi-tick information. So we're going to split and scan. Once scanned, then it will start processing. And if you want to see the information about these actions, we have the intelligence here. We can able to see what exactly this action do. What are the parameters we have, arguments, and data type, what is the data type of each argument, and what exactly it will do. So everything we can see the detailed explanation here, so that we can able to create multiple rule sets. Now we are ready with all the scanning rule set, business logic rule sets, recognition rule sets, and verify screen rule sets, and export rule sets, like all these other rule sets. Okay, once we are ready with the rule set, then we need to tell them, right, which rule set will execute first, which rule set will execute next. So all this will comes under the workflow. So we have the task profiles under the workflow. So workflow has multiple tasks. Each task has multiple rule sets. All these other rule sets need to perform under this batch profiler task. This task will perform after the scanning task. So after scanning task only has one rule set. This rescan rule set has these rules. These rules has these functions. After executing these functions, go to the batch profiler step, which is the next task profiler. And in this task, the next action, next rule set execution should be page ID. Go to the page ID now. So system will compiler will go like this. Go to the page ID now. Again, the page ID has these three functions. Execute one by one. Similarly, it will execute one after another based on this task profiler. Okay, this is called workflow. And yeah, zones. As I mentioned, image enhancement will be required. Like this queue, this packle, image, bit depth, everything we can able to handle here. So I already mentioned fingerprint service, right? Where we can able to hold the fingerprint values from the sample document. See, I designed some of this one of the fingerprint, which is one of sample original document. I scanned. While developing itself, I hold the data and zone the captured values. Need to capture values. While real time will come, real process will come. It will map all these holding zone positions against the real invoice, so that the values will capture. So this is how we need to implement the fingerprint service. And we have ICR properties and the barcode properties, OCR properties need to apply against of this fingerprint invoice. And this is the testing tab for our R&D purpose. So this is briefly about the Datacap Studio, and we already see the Datacap Server Manager, and similarly we have multiple components. Let me take you there. See, all these are the Datacap distributor components. So Datacap Studio we already discussed, and the Datacap Application Manager. Okay, this is our application configuration details. Let me take you there. See, so this is one of the component where it is like our web config or app config in the C#. So here, if you see all these are the left side is you can see the applications. Go to the APT. So we need to define the path. We have Datacap engine databases and admin databases, which holds the admin database holds all the stats, and engine database holds all the stats. These two will hold the stats, like who are the users of processing at what time, what are the batches, what are the tasks, everything we can able to see. So while going to the reporting service, it will showcase the data of using these two databases data. And we have the server IP configurations, batch directories, export folder directories, fingerprint folder directories, all the setup configurations, all this stuff. and the rule runner tab will have the task. These are the tasks I am declaring should be performed using the rule runner service using our threads, not the manual intervention task. So rule runner tab is specific for declaration of the rule runner task need to perform, and custom values like our app config. We are going to use the key pair values, right? Similarly, we have key pair values settings file is a key I'm declaring. The value I'm going to provide from here. So once the rollout will happen, also we no need to reopen the application. We can simply using these key values. We can change the parameters after deployment. So throughout the application, I can use this key, not the value. And similarly, service. This is nothing but our Datacap XML. This XML holds the application list. So this one no need to change. Once only we can configure, it will be as usual. No need to change. So this is how application manager will help us. And similarly, you can see other things. The server manager we already see. Rule runner service. Yes, this is another important one where the threads, everything you can able to see as we discussed so far. Rule runner is the one where we'll take care of the processing the background task. So if I log in, you can see the application. See, all these are the applications. So if APT I click, I can see all the existing tasks in this work, in this APT application workflow. Then I need to declare the threads and assign the and I need to drag and assign the task to the threads. So for navigator job, which is a navigator workflow task, I assign the one thread to process these four multiple tasks, subtasks. So this is how I configure the rule runner threads for each task. Okay. And once I start, it will start process. And next one, yeah, all these are similarly, there are multiple business requirements. We can use all these components. These are the main, first four are the main. And desktop I mentioned, right? We have Datacap desktop where the user can able to access, instead of the web interface, they can able to access this one. See, this is a desktop application. Okay, so this is how we can able to see. Verify. So we don't have any batch now. Yeah, we can see everything while in the training, the sample batch and all. So all these are the task. So you can see the batches here record wise. And also one more I need to show, thought to show you, which is our maintenance manager. Yes. Yes, as I mentioned, the housekeeping activities, we can use this maintenance manager. So all these are the main components, remaining all are supported components. Like our Datacap web clients to integrate, and license manager is for licensing purpose. And fingerprint service I mentioned. This is also important for us, fingerprint service. Yeah, any questions?
No, I'm actually lost. When we start working on the application, they will know where everything fits in.
Sorry, you lost something?
Yeah.
Do you want
so
to?
I'm trying to connect that. Well, while developing an application, I'm actually been moving far ahead. I'm thinking about when I'm developing the application, where all the components will fit in, and in what should be the flow for that.
Yeah, we'll see, definitely. We'll see in the training. So I'm just giving some brief introduction about the components, what the purpose of each component, that's it. Definitely, it will take some time to explain more, right?
Yeah,
so we can
definitely.
see how the application is going to interact with all these components. We can definitely